Apparently, World of Warcraft is racist now. Yeah, imagine that. World of Warcraft is now racist. Just when you thought you heard every stupid argument, every comment, every statement, every dumb thing you could have thought you heard of, Scott F. Andrews comes out with the hottest of hot takes of 2020. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I play World of Warcraft. I definitely don't. I played it a little bit way back when Lich King expansion first came out, and that was eons ago. I can't even remember. I literally mean like I played it for maybe 1 to 2 hours maximum. It's not my thing, couldn't really get into it, but I do appreciate the lore and the world building in World of Warcraft and the story they try to tell. Even with my limited knowledge, I do know that there's two factions in the game, the Horde and the Alliance. I chose the Alliance when I was playing the game originally, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, there's two opposing factions. Well, Galaxy Brain over here, Scott F. Andrews, has of course drawn some imaginary comparison to what is happening in America with Black Lives Matter and that whole situation to World of Warcraft. This article comes from Blizzard Watch. I didn't even know what Blizzard Watch was before this, but now I'm going to be paying close attention to them. And I'm not going to read out the entire thing to you. A lot of it is just dribble. The whole thing is dribble, but too much of it is just way over the top, and I couldn't be bothered. It doesn't really pertain to this video. Some of this article is so bad, and it talks about the World of Warcraft story and how it draws parallels to the real world. I'll get into it. It'll make more sense in a second. Now I'm going to read out a couple of paragraphs from this moronic article and then go through it with you guys and share my opinions. It's time to move past fantasy tropes. Now, you already know this is going to be some nonsense. Race-based conflict goes back to the very origins of fantasy. Lord of the Rings presents its own race war. Aside from humans and the demigod like Maya who fight on both sides, the War of the Ring divided is strictly racial lines. Hobbits, elves, dwarves, Ents and Great Eagles on one side, with orcs, trolls and formerly human Nazgul on the other. Just as Platoon ushered in a more nuanced version of storytelling about war in films, fantasy literature has also largely moved past the idea that all members of fantastical race share the exact same beliefs and values, that in any war all members of a given race would naturally be allies against other enemy races. You can change the storytelling or the literature, but you certainly do not have to. It's not a requirement. If you want to, that's completely fine. If you want to have one versus the other, that's completely fine. There's no issues with that. This guy needs to realize it's fantasy and not reality. It's time for World of Warcraft to do the same. The lore that World of Warcraft is based on was created long ago in a different era. It's not a valid excuse anymore. Here we go again. These guys, they never get tired. What excuse do you have to make to tell a story you want to tell? These virtue signalers literally never stop. It's just constant bullshit from them, constant blabbling. The story you're telling doesn't need to represent the era that you live in. It's that simple. And you know, why don't you just go and create your own story? How about that? Why are you constantly trying to change other people's work of art? It's just so mind-numbingly stupid. More recently, Blizzard had another opportunity to change things at the end of Battle for Azeroth's war campaign when Saurfang confronts Sylvanas. Supported by both Horde and Alliance armies, Saurfang manages to free the Horde from Sylvanas' genocidal influence. At the same time, Azeroth is confronted with the monumental threat of N'Zoth's re-emergence. I'm sorry, I don't know some of these names. Once again, Blizzard could have chosen to end the race war, to dissolve the factions entirely, to unite the races in order to fight the last remaining Old God and cleanse Azeroth of their corruption. Blizzard was so close to doing this. Watching Thro and Anduin carry Saurfang's body through the gates of Org, these names are awesome by the way. It honestly seemed inevitable. When they didn't follow through, I was surprised. Oh god, here we go. Instead, Blizzard opted to keep the world's races locked in never-ending conflict with one another. When asked about it, they doubled down on the factions as integral to the game world. I can see where they're coming from in a certain sense, but I also think it's a mistake if they're going to keep those factions to maintain the premise that these are first and foremost racially motivated constructs. Really, Scott? Was you surprised that they didn't want to dissolve the factions because that's been the game's bread and butter ever since before most of us were even born? Is that such a wild concept? Did it keep you up at night? Did anyone ever sit there and actually think about human race wars when they were playing this game? Or did you think you were just joining a team and, I don't know, having fun like normal people do? What the hell is wrong with people like this? Like seriously, do people actually talk like this? Oh, this didn't reflect real life struggles and politics and blah 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 and I'm triggered. Like seriously, get a life, dude. Like what are you doing? Racism in modern political spotlight. Here we go again. The massive worldwide Black Lives Matter protests following the passing of George Floyd on May 25th have put a spotlight on racial injustice throughout the United States and elsewhere. Many changes, big and small, have come about as a result. But what does that have to do with the World of Warcraft or any game for that matter? Now more than ever before, it's time to end World of Warcraft's race war. It's time to let factions be factions, not racial segregation. Let faction pride be pride and a set of beliefs, not prejudice. For the Horde and for the Alliance are two opposing rallying cries of World of Warcraft, but when you think about it, are these cries really any different from shouting white power in America today? Oh my god, I think I almost just choked. Did this guy really just say white power? Like seriously? I actually don't, I don't know what to say. That's gotta be one of the dumbest things I have ever heard in my entire life. This may be the greatest virtue signaling I've actually ever seen. This is virtue signaling at its finest. You are espousing a subset of races as superior to others as your team. You as a character in Azeroth are fighting for the dominance of those races over the enemy races. This never felt completely okay, and it's becoming less and less okay as the years pass. This year in particular, it feels downright icky. No, you imbecile. Nobody ever thought that apart from you weirdos. Nobody ever thought like that. Like what the hell am I reading? I picked a team and I wanted to win like every other gamer, like every other game. If I go blacks in checkers and you go whites and I lose to you, does that automatically feel like white power to you? Do you know what? I don't even know why I said that. They're actually going to go after checkers and chess at some point. Of course they will. They're going to change the colors to pink and baby blue as to not represent a race war. I can see it now, and I know some people might be sitting there and laughing and thinking, oh, you're overreacting, but after all of these social justice warriors online, does it really sound that far-fetched to you? Is that really the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard? I love how he says this never felt completely okay, but now it feels icky. It's just like, no bro, one absolute joker. Who even employs people like this? I know that many of you will say, Scott, this is a fantasy world, you can't draw those parallels. Yes, this is where the article should have ended. Someone should have taken the computer away from him. This is absolutely some of the worst writing, Scott. I don't know who allowed this dribble to be published, but they should be sacked as well. Maybe there's some truth to that, but I would argue that if Blizzard can do better than this tired trope of racial conflict in fantasy, then shouldn't they? If they won't do it to appease those who are offended by it, Blizzard should do it anyway, simply to tell a better, more nuanced story. How about, like I said before, make your own damn game and add in all the real world politics and all the nuanced storytelling and the protest and blah blah, and let's see how well your game sells. Let's see how well it does. I'm willing to bet it doesn't do that well. I could tell you 100% that they'll crap all over your game and the game won't do anywhere near as good as a standard World of Warcraft game would do. It's an escape from reality, a fantasy world. It is not real. It does not need to mirror real life. They are aware that the game promotes a race war, and they are aware, as we all are, about this powerful moment in history. I urge Blizzard to seize this moment and make changes. I urge you to get a life. Even if you portrayed any of the Black Lives Matter stuff in the game or dissolve the factions, what do you think is going to happen in real life? Do you think people are going to turn over a new leaf? Do you think people are going to turn on the news and it's going to read World of Warcraft saves America from racial tensions with its new inclusive storyline? You are an idiot. As I said before, there's more to this article, there's more to this dribble, but it is just that. It's just dribble and shit nobody cares about. Here's my problem with people like this. They seem to think that changing storylines to mirror the real world, that is somehow going to evoke change, that it's going to comfort black people, that it's going to comfort people of color, it's going to comfort people that are outcasted, that are done down by classist systems, whatever else is going on. It's not going to do anything. That it's going to mean that somehow tensions are going to ease with and racism is going to go away. Newsflash, they have had political stories in comics and in video games for a long time, and they were organically told. It wasn't forced like what this guy's trying to do. And guess what? Nothing happened. Nothing changed. Look at America right now. You think The Watchmen had a big change on America? Do you think it had any impact? It didn't. Now, people didn't have an issue with The Watchmen's political storytelling because you wasn't trying to force it down people's throats like you are right now. But I don't understand this train of thinking. It doesn't make sense. This is not the shit that is needed to help anyone. Nobody with common sense wants this stuff or advocates for it. Nobody really thinks that by picking up a Superman game or picking up a Batman game or some sort of comic or whatever is actually going to change anything in real life. Yes, sometimes it might be nice to read. They might tell good stories, but nothing is going to change in real life. Do you really think the higher ups are going to change anything by reading a Spider-Man comic that is a nuanced story? No. Scott, if you ever watch this video, please get a grip. Snap back to reality. You're not gonna get a black stamp of approval or be invited to any barbecues, alright? Just sit down and shut up. What a crappy crappy article. Guys, let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section below. If you have any video recommendations whatsoever, any articles that you read over, anything that you want to cover, send me a message and I might cover it. It's hard for me to get to everyone's messages, as some of you already know, but I do read them. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I will catch you all next time. Please, if you're an author or a publisher, don't put out crap like this. Take good care of yourselves and peace.